All right, Blaine, you said there's an Aiden Hutchinson thing. There's the Aiden Hutchinson
Yeah, I don't
that
know.
you're just
Maybe
jumping out of the gym to talk about early.
You know, the football players of Michigan, maybe this is a similar occurrence that happens more often than we think. You know, they're doing a TikTok filming the Lions, and, you know, they're doing their favorite Pokemon walking back in to the field house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're getting your Charmanders, your Charizards. You know, then you walk in, Aiden Hutchinson walks in, looks at the camera, and says, I love Squirtle.
Squirtle guy.
He's a Squirtle guy.
See, we told you that wasn't an insult, David.
See?
Gotcha.
You know?
This whole time.
Oh, well, I'm going to adopt that now. I'll embrace that. If it's good enough for Aiden Hutchinson.
I know.
And what does it mean again, though? What does it mean? What kind of characteristics do I put?
You know, I think it's a mixture of smart and tough.
Okay.
It's more Charmander the Fire Dragon is more like just brute strength. Like Squirtle, I feel like, yeah, can he dominate you physically? Yes, at times. But he wants to dominate you mentally as well.
Squirtle. I like that.
Yeah. May not be the most intimidating person, but oh my God, you drowned. Like I think that's about how.
Second best Pokemon at the beginning.
It's funny you mention him because I pulled some crazy stats today, which we'll get into in the show. But Aiden Hutchinson was one of them.
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson so far has as many INTs this season in the NFL as Sauce Gardner, and more sacks than Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau combined.
You got to be Rookie of the Year then. I mean, if we're looking at stats, just straight up. He's got more picks than Sauce Gardner?
Yeah, because they don't throw it at Sauce.
I don't know. I've seen it.
No, look it up. They don't throw it at Sauce.
Fair enough.
It's like one of the least thrown at corners in the league.
2 interceptions, 5.5 sacks.
It's pretty good.
Really
I think I've seen both of them.
Aiden's just extremely football smart.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I've seen a young guy read screens earlier better than Aiden Hutchinson in a long time.
That's how he has
part of me thinks
part
of me thinks he guesses screen and then adjusts, like me in NCAA 14. Like guess screen then adjust. It's got to be screen until it's not. It's screen until it's
draw.
Not. That's where I get most of my interceptions as linebacker road to glory. We all know that though. The College Football Playoff Committee released their latest rankings yesterday. Tom Luginbill from ESPN is going to join us to break down all the madness as we get ready for Conference Championship Week and the U.S. advance to the knockout stage of the World Cup by giving Iran a big dose of freedom. I'm Jake Crane, and this is Crane & Company. The College Football Playoff Selection Committee has been somewhat confusing and contradictory at times this year, and while they've told us what their baseline criteria is, they don't really seem to stick with it. And the process to me still seems somewhat vague and not very buttoned up. But last night, I will give them credit. I do believe they got 1 through 5 right, seeing as Ohio State was penciled in at the 5 spot. Now, the top 4 is pretty self-explanatory right now, and if they win out, there's going to be no qualms about the 4 teams that get into the playoff. However, if TCU or USC lose, there could be some real controversy here down the stretch. Now, Ohio State would be the first team in if USC loses for sure, and they should be, only having 1 loss to Michigan, even though it was a blowout at home. But the real questions lie within who should be number 6, and is TCU in no matter what? Now, the odds of number 6 getting in the playoff are very slim, but we do need clarification of why Alabama is ranked ahead of Tennessee when they both have 2 losses and the Vols won the head-to-head straight up. Does Hendon Hooker being hurt move Bama up in this case? Is it about who is the best team right now, not the full body of work? The committee says it looks at schedule, conference championships, head-to-head, results versus top 25, and common opponents. But margin of victory or defeat is not really factored in. So in that case, the Vols should be at number 6 with Bama at 7, but they aren't. The committee may get their work done for them this weekend, and while they say ranking teams is an art, not a science, in this case, I would much rather have Neil deGrasse Tyson than Jackson Pollock telling me who's going to get in the college football playoff. I'm going to bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback, former Heisman candidate, technically NFL free agent.
Call me.
Look, we
beat me.
Rams.
I'll overthrow people.
Kim Possible.
I'll overthrow people for half.
That's a Kim Possible reference. I don't think we've done that on this show
What is it?
yet.
Yeah, I don't want to watch out.
We're not going. You don't know Kim Possible, do you?
Kim Possible?
No.
You just
no.
came out
I just
like,
learned what
you just
Squirtle.
came out.
You were born.
I just learned what Squirtle.
You were
just-
born
yeah.
as a 26
It has to be.
Like, I think it's like that Saturday Night Live skit with Will Ferrell, where he's just born a grown man.
Yeah, what do you remember?
I used to watch stuff.
David, what
Ren
do you
and
remember
Stimpy,
from your childhood?
Ren and Stimpy, Saturday Night Live.
You got Stranger Things written all over you. I feel like they kept you in a room and your name was like 9.
Twilight Zone.
Number 9.
It's going to be funny when David figures out he's one of the early specimens we worked on for 7-Footer Island, but he never was tall enough. So
It's like Pinocchio realizing,
Wait, hold on.
really
So
not
I
a
was
real boy.
created for 7-Footer Island, but I came up just short.
Yep.
And that's so I just.
But now you're the
exist.
guide. You're
It's like they say,
prototype
sometimes-
1, Dave.
I feel like I'm in like Ex Machina or something.
No, you're going to
Now I'm
find
starting
out.
to
Like
find
one day
out.
David's going to be brushing his teeth and he's going to like, all of a sudden like his skin's going to fall off his hand. It's going to be like a robot hand.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I didn't quite make it, but I set the foundation.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
those
You're
other
prototype
guys who
1.
are 7 foot are standing on my shoulders.
That's why you're the guide, Dave.
Look, it's the truth.
Can I
We're
get
bringing Blaine, my other co-host, Blaine Crane, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver, and also a really cool person. Shaved his mustache recently.
No, why I
Pretty
had to.
excited. Filled out his epic will.
So,
A lot of good things going on right now for you.
I was epically willing to fill that out.
You were, and it will be epic when you get it done.
And it wasn't impossible?
No,
Do it?
Kim Possible.
You never seen
Kim
Kim Possible, Dave?
Possible.
No.
What'd you watch as a kid?
Stuff.
No. See, that's what I'm telling
Well, David, it's like, what is
So
it?
I'm telling
On,
you,
what
can't
is it on the
remember.
other
National
guys?
Geographic.
you.
What is it on the other guys when he was like, when I was 12, I audited my parents,
Yep.
and they got mad, and I was grounded. That's like David's whole childhood. His whole childhood. But guys, rankings last night. Ohio State at
Rankings.
5. I think we can. We talked about this yesterday. I think we can all agree with it. Here's where it gets fishy with me with the committee and how they do things. I need numbers next to names.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't need you to tell me, here's what we're looking at. All right, these are the 5 things we're looking at. We're not going to assign any numbers like an RPI or an strength of schedule. We'll say you got the number 3 strength of schedule and the number 4, and I'm good with that. But I need numbers next to criteria. I need to look at Tennessee and say, all right, Tennessee, with all the stuff put in there is, let's say 0.680, Alabama's 0.682, and here's why. I don't need this to be left up to interpretation all the way through. Now, there's eye test, and there's some things that we have to, in my opinion, really clarify. So, for example, Alabama and Tennessee, Hendon Hooker being hurt, what effect does that have right now? Because if we're saying it's 2 different things to say these are the 4 best teams in the country right here, or these are the 4 most deserving teams to be in the playoff. Right now, if Alabama played TCU on a neutral site, I think me and Vegas would have Alabama as the favorite. But that doesn't mean a 2-loss Alabama deserves to be in over TCU. We've got to find a way to separate this somewhat because those are 2 totally different arguments. That we talk about things being mutually exclusive. Oh, well, this can't happen. It's not mutually exclusive. These 2 things can't happen at the same time. This can happen at the same time. That's where this problem is. So if you're going to add a miscellaneous category to it, say the starting quarterback is hurt or something like that. Assign a value to it. I don't know. There needs to be some sort of number system because you have, and it's all over the board. I see on social media, some people say, well, if Tennessee played Alabama on a neutral site right now, Alabama would win. And I agree with you because Joe Milton's a quarterback. I agree with you. But that doesn't take away the fact that Tennessee beat Alabama head-to-head.
Yes.
That should, head-to-head, when it is available, when it is applicable, should be the most overriding thing that there is. That should be default, null and void, whatever, whoever won that game should be in. I'm down with not using margin of victory as much when you do have a head-to-head. Now, I do think there are times if you don't have a head-to-head where you need to look at margin of victory. Every loss isn't created equal. But I see people on the timeline saying, oh, well, Alabama did lose the head-to-head, but they lost a game against LSU in overtime on the last play. We know what happened with Tennessee. They lost on the last play. Tennessee game was a barn burner. LSU's about to have 4 losses, okay? So and just lost to Texas A&M. So don't treat me like the Tennessee loss the Alabama loss to LSU is the same as Ohio State's loss to Michigan. It's not. It's not. That's my problem. I don't think it is narrow enough. It is just this wide Jackson Pollock, let's throw it at the wall. we'll use this stat for this, but we won't use it for this. We'll use this metric for this, but we won't use it for this. It's just confusing to me. In the comments, tell me, am I taking crazy pills here? Should it be the best 4 teams? Because if it's the best 4 teams, I can tell you who I think the best 4 teams are. They're not going to be the same as the 4 teams that are the most deserving to get into the playoff, in my opinion.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Everyone's going to have 4 different best teams.
Well, yeah, and that's fine, But we need to have a criteria that says, okay, if these are the 4, the 12 team's going to help out. The 12 team's going to help out a lot. People will complain if you're the 13th team or the 14th team, but you have a lot better chance convincing me you can win a national championship if you're the 5th seed or the 6th seed as opposed to the 12th seed. You know, to me, it's all over the place.
I'm glad we're having this conversation about 5, 6, and 7 right now, rather than 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Because if it goes chalk this weekend, I think we have our 4 set, and it's not that controversial. Now, what are the odds that it goes chalk? Clearly, you see Vegas put.
Clearly not.
Yeah, I mean, so that's where things I think a week from now could get interesting on the margin of defeat. Because we were talking about this morning. If you don't count margin of victory, or if you don't consider home and away in your wins and losses, yeah, well then there's no conversation to be had. Clearly, not only should OSU be ahead of Alabama, but Tennessee should as well. Because the biggest thing Alabama has going for them right now is to say we lost 2 games, very close games on the road, and we weren't even trailing when the clock hit 0. That's the best thing they have going for them. I think margin of victory clearly should matter. Losing on the road rather than at home clearly should matter, but it shouldn't be the defining factor. We have to talk about strength of schedule.
Got to.
Right? We have to. Head-to-head is the single best indicator we have. Yeah. So when Tennessee beats Alabama, even though it's in Knoxville, that has to matter. And Tennessee has that 40-13 victory over LSU in Baton Rouge. Yes. That's another big thing. And then one more thing here before you jump in, because I want to say, because we were talking about this on Twitter yesterday with 2 losses. Like, how many quote-unquote bad losses does it take to outweigh 1 good loss? This is the OSU at 5 versus Alabama at 2. Clearly, it's better to only lose 1 game badly than to lose multiple games close, right?
To the number 2 team in the country.
Yes.
Like, I see what you're trying to set up a example of the 2 loss versus the 1 loss. To me, I think if you got 1 loss should outweigh 2 losses, unless it is just such an egregious loss. Like, let's say if Kansas State was sitting there with 1 loss and it was 2 Tulane, right? Something like that. That needs to be factored in. But let's take that, let's take margin of victory, and let's just keep that in strength of record. Put that all in strength of record. I feel like you should have margin of victory, margin of defeat, home and away should all be in strength of record. That should go all into one pot to put it there.
And that would protect a little bit in case like half your team had the flu that week.
That's exactly right.
You know,
is there a miscellaneous? Like I'm saying, Hendon Hooker goes down. I know if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But if Hendon Hooker had gone down against South Carolina and they had 1, and Tennessee was sitting there with 1 loss on the road at Georgia, and Ohio State is sitting there with 1 loss at home against Michigan, and everything is even. Do you put Ohio State in because they have C.J. Stroud and Hendon Hooker's hurt?
You can't do that.
Like, okay, that's what I'm saying. Well, let's say that. Let's go out and let's say that and say that, because if that's the case, again, why the hell is Tennessee behind Alabama? You can't use 1 metric here and not use it here. It doesn't make any sense to me, Blaine.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's nothing really else I can say on it, to be honest. I mean, we all know that it's because of Hendon Hooker, the reason Tennessee's not ranked ahead of Bama. Bama will always get the nod, but if we're going to talk about margin of victory, you're going to have to talk about strength of schedule. All right, Ohio State's killed everybody because their schedule is weak. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's in the 40s or 50s in strength of schedule. Bama's, I don't know where's Bama is, but I know it's better. Obviously, 1 loss is better than 2, but I mean, all losses aren't equal. The thing about it with me is this. We know it's Hendon Hooker why Tennessee's not ranked ahead. They can say what they want, that's fine. But there has to be, we live in a society today to where there's nothing that we can go down to a foundation to lean on to make a decision. Like we can't even, this is what the committee needs. Like they need the criteria, they have to live by it. And they don't do that. It's just like today, like for 100 years from now, you can be a man, a woman, a dog, an oven, a bus, a tree. Like there has to be something we can go back on, lean on, and say we're going to do this. We all know why Bama's ranked ahead in front of Tennessee. It's because Hendon Hooker tore his ACL. If Hendon Hooker is still there, they're ranked ahead of Bama.
Is it an automatic guarantee?
I think
feel
it
like
is.
that's a lot of
What
it.
is?
I feel like it's
Even
a lot
before
of
he
it.
got hurt, it was already like there was a conversation in the rankings.
But I don't understand. And what metric is Bama better than Tennessee?
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand your point.
There's not one.
Yeah.
There's not one. So it has to be a reason. If Hendon Hooker is still in that backfield taking snaps, they'd be ranked in front of Alabama, and they should be. All right. But how about where does brand recognition come in? Right? If TCU loses a game, should they get in over Ohio State?
That's
yes,
where
they should. 100%.
Again, I think they should, in my opinion. I think if TCU, even if they lose to Kansas State, should be in the game. But it's a fair point. I'm almost fine either way the committee would fall on it with the Hendon Hooker being hurt thing. I'm almost fine either way. If you're going to say the starting quarterback is hurt and this is something that we look at it and we take into account, at least tell me that. Just tell me that. I think you could logically argue that. Now, it's different if the starting right guard is hurt. Not that that's not important, but quarterback, that's a big deal. That's the most important position on the field. Come out and tell me that. Don't hide behind a computer and tell me it's a number when it's not. Now, if you want to say, on the other hand, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We are not looking at who's hurt. This is a full body of work. What have you done compared to what the other person has done? I'm totally fine with that too. My problem is we don't know because they won't tell us. Come out and say it. If you say it's more of an art than a science, then explain to me the art part. Explain to me the gray area, as hard as that may be. And I'm not saying there's some isolated thing that you look at and say, this is the gray area. It could fluctuate between teams. It could be different between Tennessee and Alabama. Well, the difference is between Tennessee and Alabama is that Hendon Hooker's hurt and Bryce Young isn't, and so that's why we put him ahead. Okay, well then the difference between Ohio State and TCU might be the nuance maybe, well, while TCU didn't win their conference championship, they went undefeated during the regular season and represented one of the two teams that played in the conference championship.
Played an extra week.
That is what they played an extra game than Ohio State.
Week.
That is the nuance. Good. Yeah. Then explain that to me. Don't just leave it up for interpretation or turn this into a Lost in Translation Tom Hanks movie.
Everything's up for interpretation.
I'm looking at two other two-loss teams
problem
here, too. You know, you look at Penn State, clearly doesn't have the strength of schedule that Alabama or Tennessee has and doesn't have as good a wins, but their two losses are to previously number 2 and number 3 last week, you know, with Michigan and OSU. So Penn State sitting there at 8 is interesting to me. And I think a 2-loss Washington team should be at 10 here, possibly even 9. How is Kansas State with 3 losses and Utah with 3 losses ahead of a Washington team with 2 losses?
Guess what?
Both on the road?
It's the nuance. Okay, let's answer your question. What is both Utah doing and Kansas State doing?
Playing in their conference.
They're playing in their conference championship games. Okay, you said conference championship matters. I get it. Are we saying that whoever wins the conference championship game, or by just playing in it, even if you lose, then obviously that awards you points because you're playing an extra game? Explain it to me. So what did Michael Scott say? Explain it to me like a 5-year-old.
But then
okay,
Penn
now
State,
explain it to me like a 3-year-old.
But then Penn State, like we just talked about, sitting at 8, 2 slots ahead of Kansas State and Utah, and they're not playing in the conference championship.
It makes absolutely no sense. But I tell you what does make sense. If you're feeling less your old self these days, or if you don't have the energy that you used to complain about things like the college football playoff rankings, maybe you're not going to the gym, getting your swole on, getting jacked and tan, or you don't have the energy to do it anymore, you need to do something about it with our friends over at Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster Cone. You're 6'7", be easy taking that stuff. As we age, our body loses free testosterone, our energy drops, our libido falls. Guys, look, it's the truth. You know, it's the truth. And we start to lose muscle. Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster helps you turn back the clock and re-energize your workouts. It's the Benjamin Button formula. All right, Nugenix Total T contains key man-boosting ingredients like testofen, validated in 5 clinical studies and backed by years of research. Unlike other products that use generic ingredients, which are far less clinical grade, Nugenix Total T gives you the same clinical potency levels used in the trial. So, text CRANE. CRAIN to 231-231. That's CRAIN to 231-231 for a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Text now, and you'll also get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Thermo. Blaine, I know yours is in the mail. Their most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free. That wasn't a fat joke. I'm not calling you fat. Text CRANE to 231-231. That's CRAIN to 231-231. I can feel you staring at me over there. I didn't realize that was coming up next on the read. You know, I think you are beautiful both inside and out. And What does the Booster Club
Can we
say?
cancel my lunch?
Lunch has already been
I'm
canceled.
getting called fat.
That's not what I was saying.
7:00 yet.
That's not what I was saying.
All right.
It's just unfortunate.
All right, my fat ass is going to go to the Booster Club real quick. WDE33 with a $5 donation. Appreciate that, brother. He says, who do each of you think might be the Auburn's DC based on what's realistic and would fit with Freeze? Also, when will Dr. Freeze be back on the show?
Oh, very soon. Believe me, there was only a few people that were holding down the fort while everybody was battening the hatches in the past 3 to 4 years.
Going around preaching out of a book.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm just sitting on a box.
Hitting them with rocks. And stuff
throwing
like that.
vegetables at them. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's like Courtney from Your Highness.
Malik Willis.
I'll be your Huckleberry. DC-wise, 2 names to keep an eye on. I think Zach Arnett from Mississippi State is one. You got to make him tell you no, in my opinion. I think him, Jim Leonard, who's obviously maybe a guy you may want to call, but I think he's going to be a G5 head coach. Ryan Walters, the guy from Illinois, they just re-signed there, is part of a group of outstanding young defensive coordinators. There's some more as well. I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility for him to call Travis Williams down at UCF. I know they haven't had a great last couple of games, but he's put together a really solid resume so far, and T. Will can recruit. If you got T. Will, Zach Etheridge, and Cadillac Williams out in the recruiting trail, that is a nice 3-headed monster. As far as OC, Hugh Freeze says he's maybe looking at bringing in an offensive coordinator to call plays. He may not call plays.
I heard Lane Kiffin's.
I have a hard time believing that.
Wait, Hugh Freeze may not call plays?
May not call plays, may bring in an OC, kind of be a more CEO role, what everybody wants Jimbo to do. I have a hard time believing that because he's been the OC so long, and I don't want to get into this Malzahn. Am I calling plays? Am I not calling plays? We saw that situation. Why did Jeremy Pruitt punch me in the face before the game? It's a story for another day. I really think at the end of the day, I would be surprised if Travis Williams is not the defensive coordinator at Auburn.
I want one person only. Someone get Will Muschamp on the phone.
He's not leaving Georgia.
I want a DC that will freak out for 4 quarters of a game.
That's definitely Will, but he's not leaving Georgia.
I want to see yelling, hitting whiteboards in the ref's face. At least I know with Will, we won't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Will's kind of like, you remember how like Trump used to say that he had the John Bolton guy in the room just so like, when any of these countries that didn't like us walked in, they'd look at him and be like, oh, no, we're going to war. Like, that's the whole reason he had him in there. I feel like that's Will Muschamp. Like, he just is going to scare you into playing good or doing what he wants you to do. I mean, that's who Will is, man.
I love it.
Like,
let's go to Michael Hochfelder. What's up, Mike? $2 donation.
Thank you, Mike.
Should I get my girlfriend earrings or a bracelet for Christmas? Mike, how long y'all been dating?
Man, Mike, like that's a very, like, obviously you know her a lot better than us. I feel like bracelet's a safe play.
You think so?
I feel like bracelet's a safe play. I feel like earrings, they're right by her face. We all know with women, the face is very important. That they want to come out, woke up like this, but maybe it's Maybelline at the same time. I feel like earrings is a bigger risk. Bracelets a little bit safe. I'll tell you what I used to do. Not with Reed, but with girlfriends I've had in the past. Don't remember any of them. Pandora bracelet. Pandora bracelet always works. You can add charms to it, stuff like that. Very easy. It's a safe win. It's like just a stand-up double. I'm not worried about getting thrown out at third.
Double.
I'm not getting worried about thrown out at second. It's a nice stand-up double. Hey, let me go ahead and give you a little sign to the dugout. Let's knock me in.
Look, don't even have to go bracelet or earrings. Just give him your card. Let him go to Alta for a couple hours, and you'll be fine.
I do not recommend doing that. That is
that is
advice from someone that is not currently in a relationship. I'm telling you, right there.
Friend.
Yeah,
or
good
buy
luck.
them a gift card to Alta, and they'll just annoy you for a couple hours, and you never have to talk about it again.
You can get ice cream after.
Thank you.
Of course you're going to say that. You're the one.
Control room said Blaine
Of course
won.
you want the card, but that's not a genuine gift from you. Maybe it's different. Maybe I'm stuck in the middle of a Taylor Swift song. I don't know, but
you're the problem. It's me.
You're the problem. It's me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You ever heard Taylor Swift's new album?
No.
It's terrible.
It's terrible?
I don't know. I listened to one song. I was like, well, this still sucks.
Yeah, well, it's probably about a guy named Jeff from high school because that's all she talks about. It's
I
amazing.
thought she evolved.
I didn't know you could date.
I thought she was evolving. I thought she was getting the offense going and,
No,
a lot
it's
of slow
like
scene
it's
package.
some song about some dude that broke her heart in 10th grade. Like, grow up. Like you're you're an adult now. You're in commercials.
Speaking of adults, Drew Stein,
Oh, Drew,
$5 donation.
big time adult.
Said sidebar for Jake.
Uh-oh.
Says, I got 17 million reasons for you as to why the game is the best rivalry.
17
I don't
million.
think you have 17 million reasons why.
17
I think
million.
that's just your opinion, and that's okay.
Look.
Because we like dissent here. Again, wow, you talk about the game. What a great game. You're right.
was.
What a great game. If you're a
Fantastic.
Michigan fan, that was a blowout. I felt the same. You
great
felt the same if
It's down
you
to
were.
the wire for me.
It was.
Yeah,
It's a great game.
Yeah.
It's like the second coolest game.
It's like the second best game out.
It's really
17
It's cute.
million.
Like, y'all's rivalry is cute. Right? It's
Cute. Yeah, it was real cute.
It's cute. But then you walk on down
Yeah,
to
right.
that Southern.
Don't worry, now that Hugh Freeze, now it's about to get real again in the Iron Bowl. Dude, have you seen, by the way, Auburn's schedule next year?
At least
Like,
7.
once you
He's going
get-
to win at least 7 games.
Well, like there's a stretch that really sucks.
Do you have Georgia at home?
You've got, yes, but you have at A&M, Georgia at home, then at LSU to start the SEC.
That's fun. It's not a frost.
That's right. It's a freeze.
No, but to his point though, yeah, that 17 million viewers for the game was the most watched college football game on Fox. Now, my freshman year, I can't remember. It was my freshman year. There was 21 million because I was researching this when I wrote the article. 21 million viewers, and then I don't think. I'm trying to remember.
There was 2 billion that watched the Iron Bowl.
Yeah. My freshman year, there was
2 billion.
21 people who watched our game.
It was 21 people.
When he was at Western State, Colorado.
Yeah.
There's like 21 people and like 6 buffaloes that just wandered down.
But this we can agree on. When England played, when the U.S. played England in soccer, there was 15 million viewers on Fox. The same weekend that 17 million watched Michigan and OSU play.
God, it's a
Don't talk to me about being the most popular sport in the world. It's a college amateur
No, we
football
already
game.
said this.
No.
We tied England. It's soccer forever.
Yep.
Soccer forever.
Oh, I'm going to get to
Okay?
that a little bit later.
Please.
best believe
I
me.
can't wait for this to get off my lawn. What else?
Let's go to Brock Lawley. What's up, Brock? $10
Who's a
donation.
Lawley?
He says, fellas, first live show today.
Brock!
Yeah, Brock.
Welcome to it,
Come
Brock.
on, Brock.
Get it pumped. Maybe
Yeah.
you're in there
Welcome to
doing
the
some
Thunderdome.
pull-ups. Says, what are your early Final Four predictions?
Ooh.
It says, keep on keeping it fit.
Yeah.
And Buck Fama.
Good job there.
Thank you.
Good job. Here's
Wow.
what I was actually looking at this. I almost put in a futures bet for Final Four
Yeah.
Do
yesterday,
it.
but then I realized you can't parlay the futures bets for the Final Four,
Can't parlay
which
your
shocked
future.
me. Which shocked me.
It's an eagle eye.
It's like that everywhere.
When you tried to do it, did they say to you
They
that
said
you
I
can't
couldn't.
triple stamp a double
They
stamp?
said I couldn't triple stamp a double stamp, and now the suits are messed up.
That's a good response.
It was. I respect it. Shout out DraftKings. Here's my Final Four right now, Brock. Number one, appreciate you joining us. If I had to take 4 right now, give me Purdue, give me Houston,
They looked good last night.
give me
Figure it out.
North Carolina. Still.
Still.
Still?
Experience in
Wow.
the tournament matters.
Okay.
And that 4th team, give me Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Those are the 4 I'm going with right now.
Give me Auburn.
No
All right.
chance.
Give me Alabama.
No chance.
Give me Kentucky.
What are you doing over there?
Give me UAB.
Has anybody watched
UAB?
Kentucky?
What are you doing?
Has anybody
No, I
watched?
haven't watched a
UAB
single-
may be I'm telling you, Jelly Walker's back.
Yeah, the
they got
UAB's
Gaines
cold.
from LSU,
Guys,
Andy
I'm gonna
Kennedy,
keep
the
this-
AK.
I'm gonna keep us dizzy with everybody in here. I hadn't watched a single college basketball game.
You haven't? I'm starting. I've got.
I'm not there yet, man.
I watched it last. I watched Illinois beat Syracuse like a redheaded stepchild yesterday. I watched Louisville lose again.
Yeah,
They're 0-7
I watched one game as the Auburn Northwestern game. We scored like 40 points. I was like, I'm not ready.
and 1.
I was like, I'm not ready.
But that's how Auburn and Northwestern always is. Have you ever watched us playing them in a bowl game?
No, yeah, I get that.
How much you believe in Indiana right now?
Dude, that's a team I was close. They got a big one tonight.
They do. They're playing.
The first time it's a top 10 matchup between
Hold on. They're playing North Carolina
and
tonight.
North Carolina.
Indiana 10, North Carolina
19-12.
18. There's a lot of good matchups tonight, man. Duke.
I
playing
love college
OSU.
basketball.
I haven't seen
You
Texas.
said you haven't watched a college basketball
Because
game.
I'm not there, man. It's football
You've got to be able to.
All right? It's
you've gotta
football
know-
season.
You've got to
All
diversify.
right, I'm
your
locked
portfolio.
in. My portfolio is diversified.
That's not what
do you
I
mean?
heard. You want to buy some pennies?
I haven't seen
got
Texas
too many.
play yet.
Sell me this pen.
How's Texas right now?
How's Texas playing?
I haven't seen.
Do they still
Texas.
have Jericho Sims?
They have Beard there as the head coach. I believe in.
Is
Texas.
Jericho Sims still at Texas?
No way. That means he's been there for 30 years.
Okay.
Man, right now let me give Houston, Purdue, Indiana. I'll stick with North Carolina.
So we have 3 of this 4 the same.
Who else did you have? You had Arkansas.
Houston, Purdue, North Carolina.
I think mine's the best.
What's yours?
You didn't hear mine?
UAB, Kentucky. Dude, have you watched Kentucky?
No, it's gonna be North Carolina. All right, probably Gonzaga.
No. What do you mean probably Gonzaga?
North Carolina fell from 1 to 18 in a weekend.
Basketball,
man.
David.
I get it. I'm just telling you the facts.
I mean, what?
I'm almost concerned if my team's playing good right now.
Yeah.
Play bad.
Yeah,
Play bad right now.
That's why I'm like, Louisville, you never know.
Forget Christmas. It's not even December yet, technically.
No. There's a long way to go. All right, one more.
What about Matthew X? $2 dono. Matthew.
What about him?
Thank you, Garcon. Says, is a TCU a lock if they lose close to Kansas State? I don't know if they're a lock, but they should get in.
That's the question.
Well, this is, again, if USC loses, you put the fiddle on the case. Let's walk out of here. Ohio State's number 4. If TCU loses, that's where it gets iffy. That's where it gets iffy. Because K-State has 3 losses. You're not getting in. It's like LSU, right? You got 3 losses. You're not getting in. But TCU with 1 loss, I don't even know if it's the close thing. I thought margin of victory or defeat didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it didn't matter. So I think TCU versus Ohio State would be the hardest decision for the committee. I think that would be the hardest one. I don't think it involves Alabama at all because you're talking about 2 1-loss teams. One team went undefeated in the regular season, the other didn't. One team represented them half of the conference championship game. The other team didn't even win their own division. I feel like you still have to give it to TCU. That's why that Kansas State ranking is important for TCU. Because if they lose, I don't think they're going to get blown out. I think they'd lose in a high-scoring game. But I'm telling you right now, Utah beat USC, and Cameron Rising has blown 3 games at the end, big games, going all the way back to the Florida game to start up the season. There is a chance Utah could beat USC. And if that happens, Ohio State's going to slide right in. Now, if TCU and USC lose, that helps out the committee because now they could either put Ohio State at 3 and TCU at 4, or TCU at 3 and Ohio State at 4, and they're not going to play each other anyway, so it kind of works itself out. So, I mean, look, there's a lot we can sit here and quabble over, but I think it's really only going to come down to a few things. And again, if it goes chalk, the 4 is already set and there is no argument, which I'm betting that the committee is hoping that it goes chalk because it totally takes them out of it. But if you're a guy like Brock that maybe just joined us for the first live show in the morning, maybe you need a little boost to stay up, you need to go to blackriflecoffee.com and use our promo code BOOSTER. That's BOOSTER for 10% off your coffee gear, apparel, or when you sign up for a new Coffee Club subscription. Join the club. The Booster Club loves it. That's blackriflecoffee.com with promo code BOOSTER. That's BOOSTER for 10% off. Black Rifle Coffee, supporting veterans and America's coffee. Cone, your favorite roast. I know they got some new ones. Go.
Recently, I've been drinking the Lava Panther. The Lava Panther.
100% of the time, it works every time?
Works every time.
You love
Red bag, love it. Silencer Smooth,
Murdered
also
Out
a good one.
is probably my new favorite.
I have not had Murdered Out.
You need to have
Can't
it. I like my whip
can't imagine it's bad, though.
Murdered Out.
Can't imagine it's bad.
It's not bad. They don't make a bad product.
What are
Blaine,
you laughing at over there?
you pull out the glizzy and drink some coffee every night.
Look, I'll whip out the glizzy every day of the week. Morning, lunch, and dinner. All right? I never thought I'd see David say Lava Panther.
That's right. Grab that Lava Panther bag.
Welcome
right
to
there,
Wednesday. Yeah, we got a bag of it.
Grab that Lava
Immerse
Panther.
yourself in it.
The red one. The red one.
The red one,
know
man.
what red
Read.
is? Come on.
Hey!
Does that look like red?
Behind the football. What is wrong with
Goodness
you?
gracious.
I'm colorblind!
Jeez, you'd be the worst police officer.
No, I'd be a great police officer. Hey, sir,
Detective Crane.
Detective Crane, the case never gets solved.
I got a huge clue.
Works every time.
Lava Panther.
Lava Panther.
You love to see it.
Delicious.
You love to see it. All right, Coney, let's move along like an All-American Reject song. Let's get to 5 big questions.
All right, you know what? Let's start with Nate Diaz. I want to start with Nate Diaz, officially out of the UFC. What is his future, boys?
You know, he's getting up there, but I think there's still some draw for Nate. I think you're going to see Nate do multiple things. Will he fight in the UFC again? I don't know. He still draws views. I've never seen a guy be able to get punched in the face so many times and still function in society. Like when Nate Diaz fights, you don't ever watch a Nate Diaz fight and you're like, no, yeah, man, there's some really good technique in there. You watch a Nate Diaz fight like, oh my God. Yeah. It just looks swollen meat all over everybody's face. There's no soft fights with Nate Diaz. There's none at all.
Lava Panther, Swollen Meat. Love this show.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Saying Nate's officially a free agent at 37, but the door remains open for a Conor McGregor trilogy fight.
No. Nate, just go get knocked out in a boxing match versus Jake Paul.
Yeah, go fight Jake Paul.
You're at that point in your career now. Great career, Nate. I mean, sometimes you just got to hang it up, brother. You and Matt Ryan, go and hang it up.
Nate Diaz isn't hanging that thing up. What else is Nate Diaz going to do? Just fight people in the street for money?
Yeah. Why not?
Like, dude, I was watching some old Kimbo Slice videos. God.
R.I.P.
Oh, man.
He
used to just wreck those guys in the backyard. Like, oh my goodness. Fighting Kimbo Slice.
Next one here. We're going to get to a little bit more World Cup action later on, but 1-0 victory. Crane, your boys, moving on to the knockout
Reverse
stage.
jinx is working. I will do nothing but talk bad about them.
What's the ceiling here?
Look, house money now. House money now.
You think
it's
so?
like TCU under year one with Sonny Dykes. Say it's house money now. You know, what happens is going to happen. Look, Pulisic, I did love the way that they made it seem like he was like, you know, the guy, Tom Hanks from Saving Private Ryan. They're like, he gave his life.
You didn't give
his body for his country. It was a really nice goal. I expect to beat Iran, okay? More like you got ran now. So that's fine. Ayatollah and everybody. Just this smoke. Got beat. What'd you say, Blaine? Just too much freedom yesterday.
Yeah, like, look, you can prepare for a lot of things. It's hard to prepare for freedom.
It's hard to prepare for freedom.
Coming right at
you. got beat with freedom yesterday. But I like the way that we worked the sides. They were open the whole game. It got iffy there at the end. For some reason, that was a sweat I feel like it shouldn't have been that much of a sweat. But you survive and advance, okay? And we got Netherlands on Saturday. And there's only one type of person that I don't like. People that are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
What do you have against the Dutch?
Look, gold member.
You don't even want to know.
Gold member. Look, am I a big Robin fan? Did I use him on FIFA all the time with Netherlands? Yes.
I did.
Is he a witch? Yes. But come Saturday, all right, our kids are going to fight the Netherlands, okay? And I think we got a shot.
Either you let us win, or here come those sanctions, buddy.
Yeah. I'll be like, how's y'all's economy doing?
Yeah.
How's the economy doing?
How much would you
That's
really
awful.
pay for a banana?
That's awful.
Yeah. Well,
But what a win by the fellas, though. What a win. Damn, I mean, first of all, now it's called soccer.
It's soccer
Forever
for
called
sure
soccer.
now, forever.
We're
we made
beating
the Sweet
teams.
16.
We're beating
Just 'cause we went to the
teams
knockout
about
stage?
stuff we don't even care.
You know what we're like to me? We're like one of those teams in the NCAA tournament that like you win the play-in game and then you win the first round game, like kind of like Notre Dame last year. Remember? Like they win the play-in game, then they beat Bama.
No.
Let me finish, okay? Let me
I don't
finish.
like that.
Then you win the second round game and go to the Sweet 16. Look, we're here. It's win or go home. We're playing the Netherlands. Look, they're good at soccer. All right, they're good at soccer, but I think we're young enough. Why am I saying good things?
Yeah,
I need to trash this. We're going to get murdered. The Netherlands is going to murder us. We have no chance at all. I just hope we show up to the game and just have a good attempt. That's what I want.
Pulisic.
Yeah,
This guy gave it all up for his country, guys.
Gave his body
He
up.
gave up his
There was like a Sarah McLachlan
future of having
song
kids.
playing.
He gave up his glizzy for the country.
Did he get hit in the abdomen or did he get hit
right in the wiener.
hit in the Voldemort?
Right in the wiener.
It's
in the carriage down
Pulisic. It's
under.
Pulisic, but
He scored that goal.
It's,
Damn right.
You talk about that.
God, Iran.
You're out there getting
Commitment.
vasectomies
So funny.
live during the game to score a goal. You love to see it.
Commitment. All right, next one here. Do you guys know about the Liver King?
I know all about
Brian Johnson? the
Yeah,
Liver
I've
King?
seen this guy before.
Promotes the ancestral
Liar!
eating. Man, come to find out through leaked emails, he spends $10,000 a month on
thought it was 12K,
steroids
yeah.
after he said he never uses steroids.
You can't go into the.
I'm let down.
What Hall of Fame do we got to keep him out
Nothing's
of?
real.
What Hall
Because the
of Fame is he
diet and the
eligible?
workout routine that he promotes is good. It's positive. Why you got to lie about it and say
don't
you don't
look
take
like that, though.
steroids?
You don't look
No one looks like that.
Yeah, nobody looks like that because you ate a bunch.
We all knew he was
did
lying,
push-ups,
but man,
okay?
it just.
Why?
But to me, like, you think I'm dumb enough that I'm gonna believe? Yeah, you're definitely
No
not on
one's
steroids.
abs look like that unless
Yeah.
you're on juice.
Yeah, you're definitely on steroids. You're literally
Come
a
on,
walking
man.
steroid.
You know what this is like? This is like in Legally Blonde. What was her name? The Wyndham, Brooke Wyndham. Remember when she had the workout routine,
You don't
the
know
Pilates
what
or whatever?
Impossible is.
Is Brooke?
Dude, don't
But
talk.
you know who
Don't
Brooke
talk bad
Wyndham
about
is off
Legally
Legally
Blonde.
Blonde.
Okay, Legally Blonde.
She didn't
She's
kill her
promoting the
husband,
workout
though.
routine. Come to find out what she's doing.
She's getting lipo.
Liposuction.
Yeah.
Liposuction. Fraudulent. Liver cancer.
Well, it's times like
Fraudulent.
these where I like to quote Will Ferrell from Elf. You sit on a throne of lies, liver king. You're not the liver, you're the liver liar. How about that?
Look, I mean, I've never been more upset with anybody in my life than this guy right here.
Really?
I have a lot of friends, big workout guys. It's like, Blaine, you got to watch the Liver King. You got to watch the Liver. I mean, he's out there delivering. He's chasing lions with spears. And everybody's excited about it. And then they've come to find out you're just the biggest liar ever.
You are.
We all knew, though. I'm pretty sure 10 to 12K of HGH a month.
I mean,
That's
how much?
ungodly amounts of HGH.
Like, do you even work out, or are you just taking that? I feel like that's enough where you can do 3 push-ups a day and look like that. $10,000 worth of steroids? How many stem cells are they injecting in you,
three
buddy?
injections a day. 3 injections.
How is he not just pissed off all the time and ripping?
He
trees
is.
out of the
He eats
ground?
liver and tries to kill lions with his hands.
I just don't get it.
I don't get it.
I mean, you,
Take the bull by the horns.
is it you talk to him? It's like,
metaphor.
"Hey,
It's a
how's it
metaphor.
going?
But
It's
after
good to
all.
But I really did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, did you guys see Dabo Sweeney's response on the radio station?
What?
When
No.
Someone called in. They said?
The one where he's like, we can go back to how it used to be.
Well, no, he said people were critical of the offensive coordinator and was he going to move on and all this stuff. Dabo Sweeney said, if there comes a time when people don't like how I do my job, they can hire someone else. But until then, I ain't ever going to make decisions based on what other people want me to do. I can tell you that. If I did, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you tonight. The reality is we're a 10-2 football team playing for our league title and one of the most consistent teams in the country. No one's got their head in the sand. We got to get a lot better in areas. But if we want to fire the head coach and fire the staff every year we don't make the playoff, then you're going to have a new head coach here very often.
Yeah, here's where I'm at with Clemson fans. It's kind of like the family, of 5, like the mother and father, and they have 2 kids, and they struggle. Maybe they started a business, and all of a sudden they hit it rich, and that 3rd kid's born, and the 3rd kid's like born into the mansion, and like he just used to being rich, and the first 2 older kids remember what it was like to not have money. I feel like that's Clemson fans right now, like the newer generation that is used to. Oh man, since I've been 14, we basically made the playoff and been dominant. You don't remember back when we were living in the double wide in Dadeville when there was a hole in the bathroom floor. You don't remember that. You're used to getting oh no, dinner's ready, the chef cooked it. Oh, don't have to worry about doing chores because we have a lawn care company. Oh, we don't have to worry about strangers. We live in a gated community with like they say, it's not an estate unless it comes with a pool and a gate. There are Clemson fans, however, that remember before Clemson had the glow up, before mommy and daddy realized how to make that special cinnamon roll that got them caked up. Like I feel like there's that part of the Clemson fan base that doesn't realize where you came from, okay? It's like generations of owning a company, then all of a sudden, what do they say? The first guy earns it, the son holds it, the grandson destroys it.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, well, what I'm getting with Clemson fans. You better the standard can be high, and it should be, but you're 10-2. You're 10-2. I know the ACC isn't the best conference in the world. Nobody's saying that. Comic-Con is, all right? But you can also say that if you're upset about 10-2, maybe we need to take you back to that first house we lived at so you can remember what it was like when you went outside and had to play with rocks.
So
What's up with this 3rd kid sport?
I'm not using.
I'm trying to follow the.
It's
Hold on.
all
Call me
about
fat.
you,
The
Blaine.
narrative here.
Spoiled.
No, that's
Like, what's going on, man? It's
Blaine,
a Wednesday.
It's
Like,
not
I don't
about.
know.
It's not.
What
Hold on.
happened?
In this narrative, the family of 5, the mother and father,
Here we go.
they invented a new type of cinnamon roll, and
God, you're
that's
getting
how
lost
they made
in
it
the
famous.
detail.
What's the name of the cinnamon roll company?
Swirly juice.
So they invented swirly juice, and their 3rd kid got really fat. Is that what you're saying?
I tell you what.
No, that's not.
Take your mics off. Let's go. Take your mics off. Let's go.
I'm trying to
Let's
follow
go.
this
Come on.
story.
That's fine. Now it
That's
feels
not-
premeditated.
Again,
now it
trying to
feels
follow the
premeditated.
story.
Again,
All right.
you're looking in all the wrong places. Okay, that's not what I need you to get out of that story. All right, I think the
You
people.
just need to get out of that. I'm fat and spoiled.
That's not
That's
what
you
I
need
was
out of.
saying. That's not what I was saying at all. What else do we have, Cone? Oh, my goodness.
Man, I just pulled a few crazy stats. We were talking about the Aiden Hutchinson stat earlier.
Weight on there?
He has as many INTs, 2 as Sauce Gardner, and more sacks than Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau combined. But I pulled a few more here. The Jaguars have a better point differential than the Vikings right now. 4-7 Jags.
Okay.
Than the
Here we
82
go.
Vikings. I'm
Here
just
we
putting
go.
out stats.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this when's the Kirk Cousins stuff coming?
I'm pro Vikings too. I'm just telling you stats, okay? And the second one is the Broncos would be 9-1 if they had only scored 18 points in regulation in every game this season.
Whoa.
The
If they had
Broncos.
averaged 18 points a game, they'd be 9.
Not average. If they had scored 18 points in regulation in every game so far this
they'd be
season.
9-1.
I'm just
No,
telling you
I'd
the
be
stats.
screaming at Russell Wilson on the sideline too, man. Hell no. Man, hell no. No, that's bad. That one gets me.
That is bad.
That's bad.
Mm.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
That's
sorry,
a good
I'm crying.
Full of crazy stats. All right, if you want to know stats like that, maybe you need betting advice or something like that. Well, I mean, we're seeing what you guys are doing this month. Saw what I did last month. If you like to sports gamble and it is legal where you're at right now, you need to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use our promo code BOOSTER. Pretty simple. BOOSTER. I'm going to spell it every time. Place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get 150 American human dollars in free bets if they do. Now, that's only at DraftKings Sportsbook, and it's only with our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. The same game parlays, probably my favorite. I'm getting really deep into these basketball parlays. We're going to go over some conference championship game lines. But, guys, DraftKings is the best sports book there is. It's the only one I use. It's the only one I'll ever use. And I will die on that hill, Cone.
How do you think I get the odds for the Constitution here?
The Constitution.
The Constitution.
It's a stupid
Can't take credit. That's
No,
the
it's not a
Booster Club.
stupid name. You're stupid.
The Constitution.
stupid names.
How I get the odds.
You got to get over this.
Look,
I
no,
wasn't
look,
talking about you.
Look, me and Lou's already talked about it. Y'all two have stupid names.
Okay.
That book's stupid.
Well, you
I
know
was
what?
just asking
telling my dad.
questions.
No,
I was
you-
just asking
You know,
questions.
you got to get out of your feelings.
You need to get out of your feelings. You're fat and stupid.
Stop repeating. I didn't call you fat, spoiled, or stupid. It just happened to be the way the metaphor or the analogy for the story worked out.
It wasn't about you.
It was not
promise.
That's
about
what
you.
people say when they're actually talking.
Hey,
No, that's
wait,
not
I
true.
promise. It wasn't about
whatever.
you.
It'd be like this. Like,
Whatever.
let's say you were born in August of, I don't know, 94.
Yeah,
And-
here we go.
August 28th?
Hey.
August 27th?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's another one of our.
Guess
well,
I'm not
gonna
cool
stop
enough,
there.
lava panther and swollen meat.
Well,
You drink that lava pan.
I will not.
All right? And you keep your mouth
I
shut.
will.
well, speaking of Lava Panther, let's go to our Lava Panther hotline with our buddy Tom Luginbill from ESPN. Lugs, what's up, man?
I just love all of the shaming and all of the stuff that's just going to get you canceled.
Oh.
And
Yes.
the fact that you guys don't care and you're going to fat shame each other and you're going to name shame each other. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I kind of got a kick out of the Constitution. I'm not going to lie.
That was-
Constitution
I
right
mean,
here, Tommy.
Look, that is
It was-
Damn it, Tom.
It was
Thank
pretty
you,
solid,
see?
brother. I'm sorry, but that one was pretty decent.
The Constitution
Yeah,
right
we
there. I
gotta-
can't take credit. That's the Booster Club.
Yeah, right.
Whoa.
Hey, by
Wow.
the way, when did you guys get Kyler Murray's basketball goal on set?
Actually, it was,
Tom coming in.
yeah,
hot.
it was actually a sent from Peter Dinklage.
He can touch net.
Yeah, Kyler can grab net on that one. We're pretty excited
my
about
goodness.
it. He got a new one and then I think a new console to play Call of Duty on. But Tom, I
boy.
want to start. I want to start with what we started the show off with. Ohio State at 5. I agree with. I think all of us on this show agree with it. Don't know where you stand, but Tennessee in front of Alabama. If you're going by what the committee says they go by, it's kind of like on the Ringer. Why you talk different you did before?
You mean Alabama in front of Tennessee?
Yes, Alabama in front of
Yeah,
Tennessee.
yeah.
Yes.
All that did, we got into a huge deal on this on my Sunday show with Barrett Salee about, because we had people coming in on Twitter and saying, oh, well, there's criteria that the committee has to adhere to. And I pushed back immediately. I said, no, they have one mandate, and it's to take the top 4 teams. All of that other stuff is suggestions. They're not required to adhere to any of it. Not strength of schedule, not strength of record, not head-to-head, not common opponents, not top 25 wins. Oh, by the way, Tennessee is greater than Alabama in every one of those things that I just mentioned.
Yep.
So essentially what the committee did is that they just proved once again that if they truly believe a team would be better in that college football playoff setting and have more success, okay, and the Hendon-Hooker injury may have something to do with this, they're going to take all of those debatable ideas and throw them out the window, and they're going to put the team they think would survive the best in the college football playoff. And they just proved it, and they've been proving it. And I continually push. Everybody wants to talk about what they should be going by. It doesn't matter. They're not required to until Bill Hancock and that committee says, hey, listen, if we get in this room and we have to figure out who's going above who, and we have to have a deciding factor, you must use this set of criteria. They do not do that.
Why do we not do that? Why do we not do that, though? Like, that makes no sense. That'd be like me handing out a test and saying there's no right answer. It's just how I feel about it. There's no rubric. Like, again, the way college basketball does it, you do have RPI. You have SOS. You have number. I need numbers next to criteria. That's what I need when it comes. I need to know the value of each team, how you got to that value. And that's not to say, Tom, that there can't be any nuance or gray area there. But to me, how can you come up with a system where there's no numeric value to some? Because it's basically eye test and brand. That's what it is. Absolutely. That's what it is.
That's what gives them the out every time. They don't want to have to adhere to things to be mandated. They want to float, as you put it, in the gray area. And let's be honest with you guys. If you sat here, I'll ask the three of you. If you had to put Alabama or Tennessee in the college football right now, college football playoff right now, who would survive a semifinal game?
I think Alabama would have a much better chance because Hendon Hooker's hurt.
And so does the committee. And if the committee would just come out and say what you just said, people wouldn't have a problem with it.
Well, does that?
Like,
well,
okay, I get it.
Yeah. Well, again, Tom, the question is, there's two separate avenues here. All right, and they can both coexist at the same time. There's the four best teams that are playing right now. All right, the four best teams. Because right now, if Kansas State beats TCU, who's to say Kansas State's not playing as good as anybody in the country right now? Who's to say that Kansas State shouldn't be one of those four teams in? But if we're going to say, all right, these are the four teams that would do the best in the playoff, or these are the four teams that deserve to be in the playoff, those are two different things. And until you have some sort of thing to cement that, or some sort of numeric value to give some type of light in that, we're going to keep having this debate. Now, the 12-team playoff will fix a lot of it. You'll have people that cry about the 13th that are in 13th or in 14th.
Of course.
But we know typically there's not more than 5 teams that can win the national championship anyway. So that should diffuse it a little bit. I just don't like that we're just letting it breathe in the wind. I don't like that.
Well, let me add to this, because this is what could happen off of this weekend. I don't think it will, but it could. If TCU loses, okay, I think they should still be in the college football playoff.
I think they should too.
Because their body of work overall, the amount of ranked teams that they've beat, how they've won, the fact that they were playing on a weekend where Ohio State is not playing, okay, Alabama is not playing, Tennessee is not playing. You can't punish them for that extra data point. If they would have gone in, let's just put it this way. Let's just say that they're the number 4 or 5 team and they have one loss right now. That's just the way the college football season had gone, and their one loss happened in week 5. Okay, they go on and they win the Big 12. All right, then they're going to be in the top 4 with the exact same record that they would have if they lose this weekend. So I think TCU should still be in. It'll be interesting to see what the committee does if they lose.
Yeah, well, it could be made a lot easier if USC and TCU lose, or USC loses. Yeah. That's easy to swap Ohio State in there. Well, last question for you before I go over to Cone. Which one of the top 4, which is most likely to lose a conference championship game this weekend, in your opinion?
Oh, man, that's a really, really good one. I probably would say TCU, because I think they're just the most evenly matched, right? I think Georgia overmatches LSU. I think Michigan overmatches Purdue. I would probably say that the game that's most equitable across the board in many areas is TCU and K-State. But I'm also one of those people that truly believes that sometimes there are those seasons where everything just aligns and it's going to happen for you. Auburn 2010 was one of those years. We've seen it happen with Ohio State in 2014, where all of the things that have to happen at the time they have to happen do. And when they do, the thing becomes magical. And if you could bottle it and sell it, you'd be a gazillionaire, but nobody knows how to replicate it. It just happens. And that's TCU this year.
It's like they say, it's always amazing when a plan works out perfectly.
Yeah, no doubt. No, and I agree with you on TCU. You know, if TCU loses this weekend, I think they still have a great argument to make, especially when they're playing Kansas State for the second time. Let's talk about the Buckeyes. Let's talk about the Buckeyes for 1 second, because we were talking about margin of defeat and margin of victory a little bit earlier in the show. You know, if the Buckeyes lose that game this past weekend to Michigan by 1 point, similar to Alabama, LSU, if Michigan goes for 2 at the end of that game, does that change your opinion? I mean, would you feel like then if TCU loses a game that the Buckeyes should be in? Or let's even talk about OSU against, say, a potentially 2-loss Southern Cal team if they lose twice to Utah. Does the margin of defeat change in your mind there, Tom?
It would more so for the Ohio State Michigan debate because of just how that game looked optically, how it played out. The big plays that just marred the entire contest and made Ohio State look like they were outcoached, outperformed, and it happened at home. If that would have been a back and forth, limited explosive plays, tit for tat, next thing you know, it comes down one team made one little mistake in the middle of the fourth quarter, and it led to a field goal that ended up being a 3-point Michigan win. I think that's a little bit of a different discussion. But with SC and Utah, number one, I think we all agree it's hard to beat a team twice, especially a good team, right? So Utah's got their hands full with SC. SC's hot. They're pressing all the right buttons. As long as number 13 gets off the bus, SC's going to have a chance because he completely compensates for what they lack in a lot of other areas, particularly on the defensive side of the football. I don't think SC can lose and have a shot in any way, shape, or form, especially if they lost twice to the same team. That's not happening, in my opinion.
My second question is a debate we were having yesterday as it relates to 1 loss versus 2 losses. How do you compare one, say, quote-unquote bad loss, either to a bad team or, like you were saying about the Buckeyes, you lose in a bad fashion to a good team, but it's 1 loss, versus 2 losses, okay, like Alabama has, that may be against good teams and may be close on the road, like Alabama's both losses close to road teams?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I hate getting into this discussion because 2 losses is always worse than 1. I don't care how they happen, right?
Sure.
I mean, the bottom line is, and in the case of Alabama, I think the one thing that we have to acknowledge, and it's hard for Alabama fans to do this, a lot of the reason both of those losses occurred were self-inflicted wounds. Like Alabama didn't play good. Alabama had 18 penalties against Tennessee. 18. All right. So listen, if you're going to lose a game in this and that, lose it in clean fashion if you want to get some respectability and be in the debate as a 2-loss team versus a 1-loss team that didn't play in their conference championship. But I try to streamline that into 2 is more than 1. 3 is more than 2. I mean, how they happened, I get we can go back and forth, but to our very first discussion on this program, guys, you know, people are trying to debate that right now with Tennessee and with Alabama, and I know it's the same level of losses, but you want to sit there and point at the South Carolina game? Well, South Carolina the last 2 weeks isn't the South Carolina that they were when they lost to Florida, right? I mean, everybody's different on every week, and it can happen to anybody. And it happened to Tennessee, and it happened in bad fashion. But all that other criteria we discussed with the college football playoff, Tennessee still owns the debate versus Alabama.
Well, again, head-to-head should be – you can give me all you want. I had Alabama fans on the timeline yesterday saying, well, South Carolina beat them 63-38. I was like, well, they beat you. They beat y'all. That team that lost that game beat you. And discussion's over. I'm sorry.
And in all fairness to the most of the Alabama fans I've been talking to, they've been agreeing.
Yes.
They said, look, we have not played that well this year. We don't deserve to be in it. That's a small anecdotal sample size.
It's Hendon Hooker. That's why they're ranked. It's Hendon Hooker.
That's exactly what it is.
That's why. That's why Bama's in front of them.
And that's why eye test and who they actually think would win a semifinal game comes into play in this.
God, everything's just up to interpretation these days. Yes. I mean, Jay could be a chick. I mean, David, you could be a
watch your mouth.
Redwood. You know, you deserve.
David is a redwood.
Redwood.
He identifies as a redwood. Luke's, I'm going to Travis Elrod. We're going to hop in the Booster Club right here. He wants to know: has Lincoln Riley just recreated the same situation he had in Oklahoma? All right, great offense. have a good season, make the playoffs, and get absolutely destroyed.
Bingo. and it's not so much that he created, he semi-inherited it, right? Because he created it on the offensive side with the transfer portal, inherited what is arguably one of the worst defenses he would have had, including some of those Oklahoma defenses. Listen, there's Kalen Brooks and there's Tui Tuipulotu, and that's about the only two names on the USC's defense, I can't believe I'm saying this, that has NFL written on them. Two guys. We're talking about SC, right?
Yeah.
And that offense and the fact, and here's the other thing too, is people have pushed back on me about SC being critical of their defense. Well, they forced all these turnovers. Not all turnovers are created equal. They didn't force the Oregon State turnovers. Oregon State threw the ball right to them. They didn't force the Stanford turnovers. How about the fumble by Drew Pine the other day? Just drops the ball on the carpet, like drops it, like literally just drops it on the ground. That wasn't forced. That wasn't a hat on the ball or coming and swiping through. So yes, they get credit for some of that, but you take 13 off of that team, and let's just say you take away half of the turnovers, take away the ones that weren't forced, all right? That team is 6-6. So to answer the Booster Club question, I absolutely think that's where they are. The difference, though, between the job he's in now and the job he's at Oklahoma, he has much better access to elite defensive personnel if he chooses to really target it than he did when he was at Oklahoma.
That's the main reason I'm telling you guys, I think that's the main reason he took the job. I think that's the main reason he took the job at USC. I think he's like, listen, I can go out here and build a mega offense with these guys, and I can let the defensive players just come to me. Like, not that Oklahoma wasn't recruiting well, and I do realize, you know, who they had there on staff and everything like that with Grinch. Grinch does a good job. But let's not for 1 second pretend like it's easier to get good defensive players at Oklahoma than it is at USC.
Sure.
It'll never be like that. It's just, it's the way. That's why it's hard to get good recruits at Nebraska. I think it's amazing what Oklahoma's been able to do over there. Look at, it's tough to get recruits to go out to those places in the middle of the country. Not saying they're not good towns or not good teams or anything like that, but it is hard. A kid would much rather go out to L.A. and play for USC or stay home in L.A. and play for USC than go to Norman, Oklahoma. Just is what it is.
Well, Tom, hey, Auburn Tigers hired Hugh Freeze. What's your thoughts on that? Good hire?
Well, you didn't have plan A. He was plan B, and there was no plan C. I mean, the bottom line, that's really, if you want to simplify it, that's exactly how this thing came to pass. And I got to be honest with you guys, you know, it's very easy to criticize, you know, Hugh Freeze, and he's brought an awful lot of it on to himself. And I know he's kind of been in image rehab during his time at Liberty, and he won some games. I thought the performance of him as a coach, his staff, and his players the last 3 weeks was downright despicable. I mean, I'm not so sure he earned the Auburn job the last 3 weeks, particularly this last weekend against New Mexico State. I mean, for crying out loud, that team basically quit on him. And that's not good, you know. But I'll say this. He's getting this job at the right time, because what was once either against the rules, frowned upon, illegal, is now not, right? And so you just got hired by a program that has Alabama living in your head rent-free, and you so desperately want to have somebody that could come in there and have a chance to beat Nick Saban. There's 2 people on the planet in the SEC or have done it. Well, really 3 if you count Dabo, but Gus Malzahn and now Hugh Freeze. But he's got a 19-21 SEC record during his time at Ole Miss. Obviously, he's got vacated wins as well. There's baggage there. We all know that. Clearly, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, if you win, nobody will care. Nobody will care, guys. That's the thing in all of this. Winning cures all woes. So if he goes in there, he's going to have an unbelievable $13 million plus Auburn collective for name, image, and likeness. They just finished a state-of-the-art football operations center that was about 25 years overdue. The timing of all of this could not be better. He knows how to recruit. He knows how to identify. He knows how to deal with kids and to relate. And now he has a bunch of weapons in his arsenal that he can legally use, right? Until Congress or the state or the federal government decide to come down and say, oh, we're going to start policing this stuff, then it's a free-for-all, guys. And not all, Lane Kiffin said it this summer, not all programs are created equal, right? I mean, we may have a certain set of this to get this done, but we don't have Alabama stuff. We don't have A&M stuff. Not everybody is set up that way. Auburn is set up that way. So the timing of all of this may work out really, really well.
No, without a doubt. Before you go, Tom, I want to ask you this real quick. I know we just signed that extension with Ole Miss, but with the way it went down, the way Lane Kiffin treated Ole Miss in this whole process, then got beat at home against a Mississippi State team that you felt like he should have beat. If they play bad next year, is there a chance he gets fired?
It would have to be really bad, I think. I think they would have to really regress. I think they need to be as competitive as they were this year, if not better. And to be honest with you, you're going to have to win another game that people don't expect you to win, right? That's you got to keep kind of stacking those, because when you got to win the ones you're supposed to, but if you get one that maybe you were an underdog in, or you get one that they didn't expect you to win, that kind of builds some equity for you. And I think he definitely needs to do that. And to be honest with you, with Hugh Freeze at Auburn, I mean, you think that they're going to give him a long leash on this? I mean, he better win, and he better win fast. And we're in a world right now where he can. He could go out in the next 3 weeks and completely transform the roster with 30 different players.
Yep.
If they really worked at it. All right. So bottom line is, it can be done now that way.
Definitely. Tom, well, I appreciate you, brother. It's been great to have you on all season. Excited to bring you back next week after we know who the 4 will be in the playoff. If it's chalk this weekend, we're already going to, but it's always fun, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
All right, brother. You too.
Tom. Good, Tom.
Tony, you want to get in this? Get off my lawn? Right?
Yeah, let's do this.
Oh, yeah. That's the day today.
Why don't you get over there and tell somebody they need to get off?
Come on, Lava Panther.
All right. As we know, each Wednesday, it's probably my favorite segment. Get off my lawn with our 4? About to be 34?
I'm 34. Birthday's in December.
Yeah.
But we're good at 34 right now.
Yeah, all right, we'll leave it at 34. Our 34-year-old friend who's really trapped in a 75-year-old's body, Mr. David Williford Cone. Get off my lawn.
To the Iranian propagandist at the World Cup, get off my lawn. Yesterday, the United States men's soccer team defeated Iran in the World Cup group stage, knocking them from the tournament. Now just wait till we implement Operation Petadexterity,
It'll work.
Prior to the match, however, U.S. soccer captain Tyler Adams was rudely interviewed by a state-sponsored propaganda puppet. This pseudo-journalist first corrected Adams, citing his country is pronounced Iran, not Iran. Look, I assure you Adams meant no disrespect, because in America, our idea of insulting you goes far beyond phonetics, okay? Insert Donald Trump clip here. And since when are the World Cup reporters the pronunciation police? I mean, we still have not come to a consensus on Caribbean versus Caribbean, but no one seems to mind. They just ask if I want another rum drink, and the answer is always yes. And in all fairness to Adams, he was probably just thinking ahead to his post-game response. I ran much faster than your team, and we just beat you in a sport that's so low on our athletic priority list, we called it by the wrong name, and we're proud of that. Unfortunately, this reporter went a step further, asking Adams if he was ashamed to represent a country with so much racial discrimination. To Adams's credit, he apologized for the mispronunciation, then gave a master class on how to handle a loaded question with poise and grace. The only advice I would give to you, Tyler, is never apologize when you haven't done anything wrong. Yes, it was a sign of respect, but respect is earned, not given, and they haven't earned yours. Apart from that, kudos on your civility. And I will say what Adams was right not to say on foreign soil right before a match. We're not going to entertain comments regarding social justice from a country that won't even allow its women to walk outside without a tarp on. Okay, are we one big dysfunctional family? Yes. Are we the divided states of America most of the time? Yes. Do most of us only watch soccer once every 4 years, then make fun of it for being soft? You bet, but that's how we roll. And if anyone is going to criticize our team, it's going to be us. Us as in U.S., the United States, not you. So have a nice flight home. Hopefully we'll see you never, and stay off our pitch.
Yeah, Dave.
Yes,
I'm
David.
hyped right now.
Yes, David.
Right
Come on.
On that.
Come on.
I want to say this.
Come on.
I want to
hyped
say
right
this.
now.
I feel bad for the people of Iran, whatever the hell you want to call it. I got another name for it that I'm not going to say on this program. But the fact that you have reporters from a Terrible country. Okay, let's be honest. It's a terrible country run by terrible people. Okay, it's a terrorist state. That's what it is. I'm not afraid of you guys. I promise you that. Y'all can't even beat us in soccer. Why would I worry about anything else? But the fact that a reporter would sit there and asked about to be ashamed from in a country, to be ashamed from being from the United States when you're Iran, that's like Sherman Klump trying to fat shame anyone in my life. You guys are the walking example of what's wrong when you regress as a society. And I hate it for the Iranian people that don't want this.
Exactly.
Or that were born there and have to go through this. Because if you look at pictures of Iran in the 70s, man, it looks like just like girls are walking around in bikinis or whatever. Y'all kill people for loving people. You have no platform to come on and say anything about anybody else being wrong. You're run by a disgusting regime, and I hope you guys overthrow it. I hope you guys overthrow it, and it's laughable to me when terrible country. Are we perfect in the United States? No, we do dumb stuff. We do dumb stuff all the time. But like Cone said, if anybody's going to talk trash about us, it's us, because we squat up quicker than anybody. And Iran, if we wanted to, we could snap our fingers and you would disappear forever. So watch your mouth. What did Kevin Hart say? I don't know all these words you're saying to me, but I'm going to take it as disrespect. Watch your mouth, because we'll slap you in front of God and everybody. You know that, and we know that. Deep down, you know who daddy is, Iran, and never forget it. Enjoy that plane home ride back to your despicable country, but I hope you figure it out.
Well, this is definitely getting taken down, fellas. It was a fun episode.
No, we didn't talk about China.
For sure, 100% getting taken down. 100%.
No,
100%.
Yeah, let's run the clip. Let's run the clip of his answer.
You say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong. Our country is named Iran, not Iran. Please, once and for all, let's get this clear. Second of all, are you okay to be representing a country that has so much discrimination against black people in its own borders? And we saw the Black Lives Matter movement over the past few years.
My apologies on the mispronunciation of your country. Yeah, that being said, you know, there's discrimination everywhere you go. You know, one thing that I've learned, especially from living abroad in the past years and having to fit in different cultures, is that in the U.S. we're continuing to make progress every single day. I grew up in a white family with obviously an African-American heritage and background as well. So I had a little bit of different cultures, and I was very, very easily able to assimilate in different cultures. So you know, not everyone has that ease and the ability to do that, and obviously it takes longer to understand. And through education, I think it's super important. Like you just educated me now on the pronunciation of your country. So yeah, it's a process. I think as long as you see progress, that's the most important thing.
Thought he handled that beautifully.
Masterclass.
Absolutely thought he handled that beautifully. All right, if you want to watch the rest of the show, remember you can listen to it if we stay here, but head over to the Daily Wire Plus, become a member, listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with your friends. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Make sure you are subscribed to the Daily Wire Plus. Cone, we have a comment.
Yeah, a comment from yesterday on our YouTube channel. This is from Scott. He says, make up your minds. I watched the show yesterday. First you say Nebraska is delusional and should be happy with Bo, he's talking about Bo Pelini, as a 9-win coach, but who gets blown out in big games. Yet applaud Wisconsin firing a 10-win head coach, he's talking about Paul Chryst here, for hitting his peak. Now Nebraska plays it safe with their new hire, with a quality hire here, to get the program to 9 to 10 wins a year, and they didn't shoot high enough, ? I don't get it.
Okay, Scott from Nebraska was asking that? Is this
Well,
Scott
it's
Frost?
Scott. I just assume that he's a Nebraska fan.
Okay, all right. Here's what I would say to that. I think Nebraska fans would be happy with what Bo Pelini had done, even though he didn't really win a ton of big games. I will give you that. Well, you just hired a guy that hasn't really won a ton of big games. So my answer to you would be, I think the standard at Nebraska should be very high. I think you should realize that, we're in a new era than it used to be when Nebraska was running house and we saw them dominate. My biggest thing when it comes down, we have to separate fan expectation from the people that make the hires and work there's expectation. I think the fan expectation at Nebraska should be high, but you have to realize the odds of Nebraska winning a national championship are very low right now. They're very low. That doesn't mean you shouldn't shoot for the stars, and Nebraska fans shouldn't expect success. I think the answer is always somewhere in the middle in this. I can see how you say going from one extreme to the other. That doesn't make sense. The answer is somewhere in the middle. I think for Matt Rhule to have success at Nebraska, he's going to have to build the thing like he did at Temple and Baylor. I know that Nebraska has way more support than Temple and Baylor. I know they have way more access to resources and better things than Temple and Baylor. But when I look at Nebraska and where they're at right now, in this standpoint in time, I think it's going to take Matt Rhule a couple years, and it's going to be similar to South Carolina. You're going to see Nebraska compete at a high level once every 3 to 4 years, and the bad years will now be 7-5 or 8-4, as opposed to what we saw under Scott Frost when it went bad and went really bad. So I don't think it's delusional to think that Nebraska can win big again. I think it's delusional to think Nebraska can win big consistently again. That's the biggest question. My answer back to you, Scott, or maybe a way to form a question for you is, what is an acceptable worst year type of year for a coach that's 3 to 5 years in it? If you're Matt Rhule, are you going to get pissed at 8-4 when that's your worst year? Or maybe is 9-3 as good as you think it's going to be for a while? I think that's a question that you have to answer as the individual, because it's impossible for me to generically look at the Nebraska fan base and say, all right, guys, you think this, you think this, you think this, you think this, let's put it all together. It's either or, in my opinion.
Also, I still don't think Paul Chryst should have been fired from Wisconsin. The thinking was that if Jim Leonhard is your guy in waiting, that was the reason they made the move, which now that's done away with. Now that you've gone and hired Luke Fickell. I mean, and Paul Chryst is 86-45 as a head coach.
Yeah, I think a lot of that had to do with trajectory, though, too. Kind of like with Gus Malzahn. It's one thing to look back and say wins and losses, and that's huge. It comes down to wins and losses, I get it. But trajectory is a real thing. And malaise is a real thing. I think malaise had set in at Auburn with Gus Malzahn. I think you looked at the way they were recruiting, it was awful. He didn't sign a high school offensive tackle in 4 years. You look at the way that everybody else was trending up while Auburn was trending down. They wouldn't evolve or make any changes on offense. We were seeing the same movie over and over again. I think Wisconsin got caught up in that too.
That's fine, but they won 9 games in 2021. This is a season ago they won 9 games, and so I think that they should look at the Bo Pelini experiment in Nebraska, and you're not always guaranteed that the ceiling will be higher. The floor can always be lower.
The floor can always be lower, but let me say, here's where I'm more surprised on anything with the Wisconsin deal. It's not just that they fired Paul Chryst, it's that they fired him to replace him with Jim Leonhard. That was the thinking. That was the reason they did it. They let him be the interim, and then all of a sudden you find out somebody says, hey, Luke Fickell may be interested in the job, and you totally abandon the whole reason that you fired Paul Chryst. That was your way out, right? When people said, oh, well, it was a 9-win season, or he went 86-45. So, well, guys, we think Jim Leonhard's generational. That's what we think. We think Jim Leonhard is that good. He's going to be the head coach. We're making this move for that. Then all of a sudden, the first pretty girl that walks your way and says she might want to go to dinner, you just go ahead and divorce the one you've been with? Again,
yes.
I'm not talking about Luke Fickell. I'm talking about Wisconsin. I'm talking about from Wisconsin standpoint. Luke Fickell, that's a totally different story. But Wisconsin fired Paul Chryst to hire Jim Leonhard. Then they hired Luke Fickell. So to me, are you second-guessing yourself? Did you now maybe thought after Jim Leonhard being the interim that we were wrong? Maybe I made a mistake now that we're living together and we have a toothbrush in the same container. We have 2 different toothbrushes, but now in the same bathroom? Like, I don't know. Like, it just seems a little wishy-washy to me. Blaine?
I mean, you want to go to the Booster Club, or are you asking me a question?
I'm going to the Booster Club.
Okay. Let's use our words. All right, let's go to Caleb Rendon. All right, talking Braves baseball. Here we go. Can we talk baseball real fast? The more time goes by, the more I think the Braves won't get it done with old Dansby Swanson. Got to bring him back, or where will he end up?
Look, I've always been a Dansby Swanson fan. I think of Dansby and I think of the Braves.
That was nice.
He had a really nice year. You know what you're going to get out of him at shortstop. If you are trying to keep the main core together, which now that Freddie Freeman's gone, that's going to get tougher and tougher to do, then you re-sign him, but is it worth the money? That's what it's going to come down to. I watched the Astros get rid of Correa because they had Pena in the farm system. Obviously, they win a World Series. He's a stud. It always comes down to who can you replace him with? Who can you replace him with? That's the question. If you feel that you can get maybe not even up to Dansby standards, but close to Dansby at that position and save money, I think you go ahead and do it. But if there's nobody that's going to get close to be able to have the output and the leadership, not only at the plate, but on the field that Dansby can give you in that experience, then you try and find a way to keep them. But again, I feel like there's some wiggle room with Dansby as opposed, you've locked Michael Harris up. You've got Freed under contract. You've got these young guys, Austin Riley, locked up. This is where you're really going to make your money if you're Alex Anthopoulos.
All right, let's go to Justin Decker, a $5 donation. He says, Lane misses opportunity to win a championship. Freeze recognizes it, and he's hungry. I'd say Auburn won big with this coaching hire. War damn Eagle.
Well, I've always said I thought Hugh Freeze was number one to me. I've said that since September. Y'all have seen it. Hell, I thought Nebraska should have hired him when it got done. I think you got the best coach on the market. And I'll give you a hint. You know what all these firms and athletic directors do? They have a criteria and a number system that lets you know what is the best coach out there if you put him in as available. All right, they take a bunch of different data and they put it together and it ranks the coaches. Guess who was ranked number one out of all the coaches that were available, including some at big-time places that were labeled five-star coaches?
Brian Harsin.
Hugh Freeze was. Hugh Freeze was.
All right, let's go to Stephen Moore. He says, Matt Rule should strive to follow the Harbaugh model, create a pipeline for players and coaches with an NFL team.
I mean,
It's going to be tougher to do, I think.
That's to me kind of putting the cart before the horse. You got to get the NFL players there to play college before you can start putting pipelines with certain NFL teams. What he's got to do is he has got to do an unbelievable job of selling that place to kids on the coast. Number two, the thing he's got to do is get that old school mindset and mentality to Nebraska. We're going to build this thing, one player at a time. That doesn't mean you sit there and just go crazy with the walk-on program or you try and reinvent the nostalgia that Scott Frost did. You've got to turn Nebraska back into a tough football team, in my opinion. You've got to turn Nebraska back into a physical football team. You've got to turn Nebraska back into a team that can line up and on 3rd and 2, get it when they run downhill. I think Nebraska needs a little bit of the old school toughness with the new school offensive mindset, being able to out-formation people, pitching backwards on early downs and things like that.
Also, in part of that guy's comment, I think his name was Scott, there's an assumption that Nebraska played it safe with Matt Rule, and that's going to lead to 9 and 10 wins a year. That's not guaranteed.
No.
Like, if you knew you could hire a coach to program who's going to win 9 or 10 games every single year, that's not playing it safe. That's a great hire. You do that. My point is, I don't know if it's a given that Matt Rule's just going to come in and win 9 or 10 games every single year, and the problem you're going to end up having is he just can't win 13 and win the big one.
Yeah.
That's a whole different conversation.
No, I agree with that.
All right, let's go to, who was it? Brian Bailey. What's up, Brian? He says, the fact that USA beats anyone in soccer is embarrassing for them. He says, it's what, the 6th most popular sport in the U.S.?
Yeah, like
6?
Like
Football,
basketball,
baseball. Hockey.
Golf, tennis.
Golf.
I mean, is it 6? That's what I'm saying. We're out here beating y'all with our left hand, okay? And
We're
you guys
beating
aren't
y'all
even
with children. Those kids are like 15 running out there. There's one kid on that team, I swear he looks like he's 17.
But the way that
probably
pickleball has been taken off
Pickleball's
recently,
so fun to play.
pickleball's going to be on the list.
So, wait, what about softball? Softball's really popular in the United States.
That is true. All right, let's go to Bulldogs. Says, this is why we should have a 12-team playoff. Too many arguments about who should get in. Just expand the playoffs and show who does better in the playoffs. It doesn't matter. We're going to argue about this.
Yeah,
We'd be arguing about Washington.
Yeah, well, they argue. They argue there's 68 teams that make the NCAA basketball tournament. They're going to argue about the 69 team. But I'm talking about arguing for merit that can actually win a national championship. A team that can actually win the national championship. There is more this year than we've seen in a long time, in my opinion. Typically, there's not more than 3. Okay, so that's where the argument really gets big when you get to 5 and 6 and 7, because you do feel like this year, if those teams did get in, there's a chance that they could win it. That makes the argument way different than, well, they should be in. Like, let them be in. They're going to get destroyed, but they should be in because they deserve to be in. Those are 2 different arguments to me.
All right, Baby Sawyer's dad, who I'm a huge fan of.
Yes.
Hope Baby Sawyer's doing well. Says Nebraska parents need to start their boys on steroids and fighting young.
Well, to me, it's like
it's what the Spartans.
You got to do like Spike's dad. Every night I rubbed his calves with condensed milk. It's like putting all of a sudden football in the crib, pom-pom in the crib. It needs to be like Like all of a sudden, oh, I put my son down at night. Why are there Nebraska highlights of everything good that's ever happened? Confidence, borderline arrogance, success, Cornhuskers. There you go. Fixed it.
All right, Alan Cruz says, Bama bias got us to a 14 playoff. Need Bama in this year to get a 12-team playoff quicker.
I think the 12-team playoffs coming quicker. That this year, with the parity that we've seen, has done nothing but increase it, the likelihood of it being sooner. It's the logistics that they have to figure out. First round needs to be on the college campus. I do know that. I know they got a lot of stuff to figure out. First round, the best seed, the better seed, if you want to call that higher seed, lower seed, however you call it, that team needs to host it. It needs to be on campus.
If it were Alabama bias, they would lose in the playoffs. If it were just the committee's bias towards Alabama, so they always want to put them in just because they're a big brand or something, they get there and they lose. Seems to me like every time Alabama gets put in there, they end up winning the championship. So if the goal of the committee is to get the 4 best teams in, and Alabama sneaks in even in years where they don't win the West and they're sitting on the outside of the conference championship, but somehow they still beat all the teams and win the national championship, to me, that's not bias.
Yeah, 2017, right?
Was
2017, Bama got in without even winning the division.
Yeah, they were left out.
So we're saying the committee just wants the 4 best teams in there?
That's what they say. I'm not.
Was Cincinnati a top 4 team last year?
No. I said, again, that's the argument.
They get in?
Best teams, most deserving teams. 2 totally different things, and we've seen that before.
And I think they felt pressure last year. They felt pressure from people like Tim Brando.
Yeah.
When Tim Brando came in and argued with you, when Jake was saying Cincinnati's not one of the 4 best teams, I don't care if they go undefeated, and too many people were saying, no, it's about what teams deserve to be in there. If you go undefeated in any one of these major Power 5 conferences, or in Cincinnati's case, even from a strong Group of 5 schedule, that team deserves to be in there. I think the committee felt pressure last year.
Yeah, it was the college football version's argument of social justice.
All right, let's go to Devin21. She says, so when it has been 5 years and Auburn is nowhere closer to getting to the SEC championship game, will Hugh Freeze's seat start to warm up?
I mean, after
five years?
Can we coach a game?
After 5 years, Devin, let me ask you this. After 5 years, if he's won an SEC championship, been to the playoff twice, and all this, how many people you think that were out here crying about Hugh Freeze are going to be out there crying the same thing? I'm telling you, all these people you see on Twitter right now hating on Hugh Freeze, and I'm done with Auburn, will be the first people to Toomer's Corner if he wins the SEC. They'll be the first ones there. They'll be just like the same people that are out there protesting this summer. Brian Harsin for life, man. Brian Harsin's getting screwed. We're the first people with pitchforks and torches walking up to the Auburn Athletic Department after the loss to Arkansas. Like Luginbill said, winning cures all of this. If Hugh Freeze wins, all these people that were hating on the timeline will be like, it's a redemption story. Give him a second chance. Life isn't a Hallmark movie.
You must be doing
People don't forget.
Yeah, that's true too. If there are no new transgressions, right? Like that's one of the things I was thinking about when Tom said that. I agree with his point that Auburn fans, if Hugh Freeze is successful on the football field and wins games, they will forgive any past transgressions that happened before he got there, as long as he's not continuing to do the same stuff.
Yeah, again, again, I think what he's done has made him less likely to do anything crazy again. I think that can be true. A lot of people think the opposite. All right. Let's go to Booster Club Leaderboard. Remember, I put out the tweet every day, fill out the booster link at the bottom. Hugh G_3, Revco 250, they're both 4-0. Texas Ed is 3-0. Midnight Crane to Georgia, EJ Runis are both 2-0. Win 24, Kyle Jenkins, Cody Nason are all 1-0. Tyson's Right Hook, 0-1. JT Bryan, 0-2. Make sure you fill that out. My bets for today as we get toward the end of the month. Again, I'm just trying to get crazy parlays to get units up because I'm out of the running this month after winning last month. #never forget. I've got 2 college basketball parlays, which I'm going to read in a second. Cone, say your bets real quick.
All right, here's what we're going tonight. Last day of the month. I want Purdue money line plus North Carolina plus 5.5. Playing Indiana. I'm going to go ahead and take the 5.5 points. That's at -102, little 2-game parlay. And then I'm going to take a 2-game soccer parlay. I know it's surprising you boys, but give me Mexico and France money line, and that's at plus 127.
Okay, here's what I got. All right, buckle up. Parlay number 1. Lipscomb, Georgia, FIU, Duke, TCU, Texas A&M, DePaul, Indiana, Nebraska, and USC money line. Okay, that's number 1. That one's going off at plus 1,114 odds. My second parlay, Giants. Give me Duke money line, the over 135.5 Providence TCU, Nebraska money line, USC money line, Indiana money line, DePaul money line, Western Kentucky money line. Give me that. That is going out at plus 2340. We'll see. Giants, help us God. Blaine, what do you
All
got?
right. Give me Mexico. These are going to be correct scores. Ladies and gentlemen, it has to be on the dot. Really trying to sit back and thread the needle right here. Probably won't happen, but hey, it's okay. Mexico is going to win versus, I have no idea who they're playing, 2-1.
Okay.
All right.
They're playing Saudi Arabia, right?
Watch
Yes.
your mouth.
That's definitely going to hit right there. 2-1. That one's already, I think that game already
I
been
can't wait
played.
to watch y'all get killed in the playoffs.
That game's already
All right,
been
give
played
me
in this
France.
2-1.
All right. Give me France. They're playing the Tasmanian Devils.
Tunisia?
Tunisia, also known as. Exactly. All right. Give me France. 3-1 win.
Oh, that's a lot.
On the dot. Plus 1230.
That's a lot.
All right. The other one's plus 900. You never know. You never know, Dave. Yeah, I see what you did there with the Mexico and France bet. I see what you're doing. It's okay. So
What did I do?
You're safe here.
What did I do?
All right. You're safe here. You deserve this month anyway. Michigan beat Ohio State.
Good situation for you.
You know, you still.
What did I do with the Mexico and France bet?
You know, it's just if they both win, you still hit that bet. I have both of them winning.
But I didn't.
I don't
Pick
think he's
mine
trailing you like
before
that.
I know, but
Oh.
it smells a little funny. You're not trailing me, but I can see you behind me.
Well, speaking about what smells funny, it's Baby Cone again. He's got Michigan State -2. That's going up at -115. He's going to take France, Mexico, and Belgium all money line at plus 513. God, I like that bet. It's just the draws what scare you. It's the draws what scare you. All right, Blaine, we got a poll?
Yeah, we do. All right. Who should be number 6 in the rankings? Tennessee or Alabama?
I would say Tennessee, 68%.
Tennessee, 67%.
Ooh. All right, it should be ranked 6. Tennessee, 64.
Yeah. Oh,
That's me.
Got it.
God, stop. Price.
Bama, 35%.
Okay, they agree with us. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Follow us on all social media. Got some great content coming. Appreciate Tom Luginbill coming on today. And like the chances of Kansas State or LSU making the playoff, we're going, gone.